to which the country has degenerated. I can't believe the state to which the country has degenerated. I've been in contact with a reliable source within the Canadian military, and he told me today by email that if I had any sense, I'd take my money out of the Canadian banks because the situation is far worse than I've been informed. And so that's just one of many such messages I receive on a daily basis. So let's talk about the banks. So here's what our Prime Minister did last week. He permanently destroyed 20% of the population's faith in the entire Canadian banking system and stained the Canadian banking system's international reputation, I would say, for decades.
Hey, MCE crew, that was the famous Jordan Peterson talking about the aftermath of Justin Trudeau's move against those truckers and how it telegraphed what nations want to do with regard to controlling you through your money, through your accounts. Now, old Justin seems to have irreparably, at least for the intermediate time, damaged the reputation of the banking system, not just in Canada. Because, of course, if they can do it there, they can do it anywhere. So we're continuing to talk about what we're seeing with regard to these countries, using this mechanism to control the citizens. And this is another reason why you need to be financially independent. You need to separate yourself from the banks to the greatest extent possible, using them as, just a place to move money, put it into, paying your bills, and an easy way to do that. But your real money has no place in a bank. All right, because A, you're not getting compensated for it in terms of the interest rate to the tune that would double your money anytime in this century. Okay, and that's for real. We did that rule of 72. Go out there, divide 72 by the prevailing savings account interest rate of 0.6%, and you'll get what, 120 years? That's how long it will take your money to double. Okay, you'll make your first million by the age of 500. So you got to look for other vehicles that are going to allow your money to work and appreciate. Again, we got stocks, we've got insurance policies, and we've got my favorite, which is a business that you own and operate in an industry that is viable and has good margins. Now, of course, you've got to do a hell of a job managing that business. You can't be a slouch. You can't just hang a shingle and think that money's just going to start walking in the door. That's certainly not going to happen. But establishing a business you own, that's going to bring you a great degree of economic freedom if that business is successful. Okay? We've already seen that you can be separated from your job that someone else, some company has conferred upon you, some company has given you this job. You can be separated from that through a variety of circumstances. Like, look what happened in 2020 when all of those people got laid off. Okay, look what happened here lately when the government and certain corporations said you either do this or we're going to fire you. Okay, so you don't control any aspect of your destiny at a job. You can be the best employer in the entire company. And I literally have experience with that. There used to be this award, an annual award at Verizon that only one employee got. Okay, one management employee got. So we're talking about 70,000 people. One person got this award every year. One year, I think this was like 90. When was this? This had to be maybe 2002. One particular individual won the award. Okay? Out of all of these employees, this was the greatest employee in the entire company. And 6 months later, they riffed, or reduction in force. They fired this person. But hey, at least they have a nice trophy they can put on their mantle. So what we're seeing is this war on financial independence rolling on. Okay, it's like a snowball. It's accelerating. And what we're starting to see is that this is manifesting itself in the war on cash. They don't want you to have cash, okay? They want all of these transactions to be electronic because that's going to make it easier to tax you. And it also is going to make it far easier to control you if they can just cut off the spigot anytime they want. Now, that's going to be more difficult if you are out there doing your own thing. You got multiple streams of income, all right? And you got multiple buckets, channels with which these incomes are dropping into. And you've got, different forms of real money, gold and silver. You've got, different forms of savings. You've got your own bank, okay, in the form of insurance policies, liquid stocks, gold, silver, those sorts of things, right? It's going to make it much more difficult for you to be controlled, right? So we got a story here. Zero hedge, the war on cash, is entering a bold new phase. With so much news about Ukraine, inflation, massive government spending, and exploding deficits, it's easy to overlook the ongoing war on cash. That's a mistake because it has serious implications not only for your money, but for your privacy and personal freedom. The so-called Cashless Society is just a Trojan horse for a system in which all financial wealth is electronic and represented digitally in the records of a small number of mega banks and asset managers. Okay, so again, they're consolidating you and your labor, okay, your creativity into a ledger somewhere that is no longer private, okay? It's no longer controlled ultimately by you. This is what the Cashless Society will enable the powers that be to do. And economic freedom is one of the last bastions of freedom in the world today. We're still hanging on to the Second Amendment here in America. And for now, you can get into your car and drive from here in Maryland over to California without being asked to show your papers. But remember, they even tried to do that. There was a suggestion that in order to travel interstate, they were going to require you to have a passport. Okay? Now, how in the hell they were planning on enforcing that, who knows? But the point is they suggested it. So again, this is a war on your freedom. And oh, by the way, although my next car might be an electric vehicle, unless they get that charging network up and running, you're not going to be able to go as far. And as these cars become more and more computerized, do you think for 1 minute there's going to be a situation where they say, okay, we need to shut the society down again. Okay, I'm sure they could just they can't flip a switch in your 1972 Merlot Cadillac Brougham.
The Merlot Brougham. It's a fine car, but nothing like a Rolls Royce.
They can't do that. But in these brand new computers on wheels, they certainly can. And I know someone's watching this and say, it sounds conspiratorial. This will be the same idiot that stuck out on I-95 when they say, oh, you know what? You haven't paid your taxes, man. Whoop. And, your car just stops in the middle of a 4-lane highway. And get back to us. We'll turn it back on once you pay these taxes and fees. Cash prevents central banks from imposing negative interest rates because if they did, people would withdraw their cash from the banking system. If they stuff their cash in a mattress, they don't earn anything on it. Yes, that is true, but at least they're not losing anything on it. Once all the money is digital, you won't have the option of withdrawing your cash and avoiding negative rates. You will be trapped in a digital pen with no way out. So you see why this will advantage the powers that be and disadvantage us here in the middle and lower economic classes. It will disadvantage us tremendously. Well, I know somebody's got to be out there thinking, well, I'll just move my money to Bitcoin. Okay. Let's first understand that governments enjoy a monopoly on money creation. We have said that here time and time again. The United States of America has an Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard, and now a Space Force. They are not going to allow you to create your own money, okay? So the United States is not about to surrender the monopoly on money creation to digital currencies like Bitcoin. Libertarian supporters of cryptos celebrate their decentralized nature and lack of government control. Yet, their belief in the sustainability of powerful systems outside government control is naive. And it's naive for the very reasons that I just mentioned. Not only the militaries, but the vast security apparatus that not just the United States, but all of these governments have. It's not even confined to the major governments. Even some of the smaller countries have a tight control on their ability to control their currency. Blockchain does not exist in the ether, despite the name of one cryptocurrency. And it does not reside on Mars. Blockchain depends on critical infrastructure, including servers, telecommunications networks, and the banking system, and also the power grid, all of which are controlled by who? The government, ultimately. Once cash usage shrinks to a certain point, economies of scale are lost, and usage can go to zero almost overnight. Remember how music CDs disappeared suddenly once the MP3 and streaming formats became popular. Yeah, I remember that. Remember people used to drive around with the CD hanging from the rearview window, and I had this elaborate, like it was a book. You know you had one too. Don't laugh. I had a book with the CDs, man. I was the man. I had all of my CDs in there, and you would drive down the road, and I was just hot stuff, man, because I had a 5-speed Acura Integra at the time, and, pop a CD in. You can tell how old you are if you got a car that still has a CD player, okay? They're gone. And that's how fast one technology can supplant another, all right? So that's just an example of that. So once the war on cash gains this kind of momentum, it will be practically impossible to stop it. Besides the loss of privacy, other dangers from the cashless society arise from the fact that digital money transferred by credit or debit cards to other electronic payment systems is then completely dependent on the power grid. If the power grid goes out due to a storm, accident, sabotage, cyber attacks, or the digital economy will grind to a complete halt. Now check this out. You can transact with the dollar or an ounce of gold or silver. You can do that anywhere in the world right now, from the middle of the ocean to the middle of the Sahara Desert, okay? Pretty much everybody on the globe understands they recognize the dollar when they see it. So we have that. Gold is also pretty recognizable, although you got to be able to test for it because you don't want to accept something that's not real. But those transactions can occur no matter where you are. All right. Not so with crypto. You're complicating matters if you don't have an electronic device or some sort of access to the power grid. All right. And again, those are controlled by the government. So the time to protect yourself is now. What do? The best way is to keep a portion of your wealth outside of the banking system. That's why it's a good idea to keep some of your liquidity in cash or money while you can. Gold, silver, okay? And also, look, even though the dollar is losing value at about a percentage point a month, it's not a bad idea to have some cash on hand. Not a lot. Because, look, let's face it. Most of the places you go, they don't accept gold and silver. So there's a point at which you'd have to convert that into cash in order to put it into a transaction of some sort. But if you have some cash on hand, then you are going to be able to at least make some moves immediately. Okay, so that's one way you can do it. Excuse me. And gold and silver, remember, as I said a moment ago, that's money and it's going to be money in every part of this planet. And probably Mars too, because gold is, unlike the US dollar, gold is actually, honestly, universal. So this article goes on to say that the guy strongly recommends that you own physical gold and silver and allocate 10% of your investable assets to gold. If you really want to be aggressive, maybe 20, but no more. Now look, those percentages are not my recommendations. You have to do your due diligence and figure out what the right allocation is for you. But understand while you're doing that, the difference between currency and money. The dollar's currency and it could be manipulated, okay? Real money is less susceptible to that, okay? So the banks, Canada proved it. Government edict, they're not going to wait for your constitutional rights to be recognized. They're just going to act. Don't believe me? What did the corporations do when Biden said, and this is before the order was even dried in concrete. He just said, you know what? I want to make it so that if you don't get this, then you lose your job. The corporations, they followed suit immediately. All right. So that should tell you how precipitous, how precarious rather, your stance is with regard to relying on these large institutions to do the right thing, to recognize your rights, okay? This article closes out by saying, the author says, I hold a significant portion of my wealth in non-digital form, including real estate, art, precious metals in a safe, non-bank storage. That's because I'm paranoid or a fanatic. That's not because I'm paranoid or a fanatic prepper. I just think it's prudent in these times. Now look, I don't know anything about art. Dogs playing poker. That's a pretty interesting picture. But other than that, I don't know anything about art. Okay. So I don't see that in my life as an asset. You do your due diligence. Just understand that the times they are a-changing, and again, relying on these institutions to do the right thing with regard to your income, we talked about you starting a business, or your assets, can be risky. Okay, guys, as I always say, I thank you for joining me. If you want more information on starting your own business in the financial services or real estate industries, these are businesses we've been in for almost 2 decades now, and they've been very good to us. mcenow.com. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. To learn more about how you can achieve financial independence, check out these videos we recently posted on the Money Changes Everything channel.